What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the D.O.G podcast. As always, I'm Drew with OC in German, and today we are going to talk about how much we hate officiating in the NFL this year. How terrible they are.
I mean, yeah, they're pretty bad, but the thing is you're just a wee bit biased, right?
I mean, yes. For last night's game, yes. But I would say OC feels like the officiating this year has been terrible.
You think so?
I feel like a lot of Niner fans feel the officiating this year has been terrible.
Yeah, there's been times where it's been egregious, you know?
The thing is that they've been
consistently bad.
Like overall, like the officiating isn't like terrible, but when it comes down to like at the end of the games, it's like a 3-point game, and then they just make some type of some fan holding call of hands to the face that gets waved off.
Dude, I'm this entire year I'm not gonna forget this game. Dude, that one was bad. The Stephon Gilmore, did you guys see that pass interference call where he kind of does that and they're like, oh, pass interference?
Yeah, I did see that one.
So now you know my pain from when the Dolphins played the Eagles on that Sunday night. And it was like the Dolphins had 11 penalties and the Eagles had I think 0 or 1.
Mm-hmm. The Cowboys had almost 100 yards in penalties.
A little bit of bias towards the Eagles now? Are they the new Patriots?
I don't know.
Or every call somehow, some way goes their way?
When they're at home, I'm waiting for the Cowboys, one of the Cowboy super fans to come out with the video to find out where the head referee's from. And like the Dolphins fan did.
They do that?
A Dolphins fan went and found out that the head referee that night spends his vacations or he has a home in 45 minutes north of Philadelphia.
Hold on. I'm going to look this guy up. You guys can talk. You guys give your input. I feel like I'm the only one that gives my input on the Cowboy games.
Well, yeah,
because it's a little unbiased.
It's hilarious hearing delusional Cowboy fans just go off.
I don't think I'm delusional.
That's the whole point of being delusional. Come on, dude.
Anyway.
All right.
Okay, but my unbiased standpoint from this game, I feel like the Cowboys played extremely well, and
Dak played good.
Dak played very well.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just name this one as the game of the week, right?
I think it's
pretty entertaining.
I think it's been the game of the season so far. Name a game that's been better than this one this year. I don't think there has been.
That home opener with the Chargers and the Dolphins was pretty good.
No, it wasn't.
Well, scoring wise, it just
kept going back and forth.
If you're into shitty defenses playing
high-scoring games.
Yeah. I mean, this was two good performances from both teams and two quarterbacks that did better than the opposing team's defense.
Okay, let me ask you something. Are you as annoyed by the tush push now as everybody else, or do you like it?
I've been anti tush push from the get-go.
So did you hate when they did it early in the game? Yeah. No, early in the game when it was
it was their first drive.
Oh, in their first drive,
4th and 1 from their own 35.
I mean, everyone in the world knows what's going to happen, and they're 100% right. They really look at the game differently on offense because they just need to get 9 yards when everyone needs to get 10.
Right.
And so it's annoying to know that it's coming. I have always had the standpoint, from my opinion, I don't like it because I feel like one day Kelsey's going to snap his forearm or something. Like someone's going to get hurt in this, and it's going to ruin the fun for everyone. But I mean, that like German said, it is part of football. Mm-hmm. I think at some point the players are going to stop this from happening. That's my opinion.
Someone's going to get.
I don't think the NFL is going to prevent it. I think it's the players that are like, hey, you know what? It's going to take a Kelsey breaking his wrist or his forearm, or Elaine Johnson getting hurt, that they're going to be like,
or even Jalen Hurts taking a shot to the head or something.
Exactly.
That Brock Purdy against Minnesota when he took that hit.
I don't like it. I really don't like QB sneaks a whole lot. I'm more of the fan of bringing in an extra guy, bringing in a fullback.
The fullback dive. Go super old school with it.
Yeah, that's what that's what the fullback's job is, right?
Get 2 yards.
Yeah, that's what you pay him for.
The game is so different now.
He doesn't get paid that much money. I mean, compared to the quarterback, you're paying quarterbacks $25-30 million a year, and
not Brock Purdy.
In the first quarter, you're going to do the tush push, and Jalen Hurts gets concussion.
The thing is we're probably going to see this maybe just a couple more years, as long as Kelsey's still there. Because, I mean, how many more years do you think he's going to play? Maybe
he was supposed to retire this year.
Right.
But then he decided to come back.
He decided to come back. So he's going to dip. And then, like I said before, Jalen can squat 600 pounds. So that's probably the big reason why they're successful. I mean, because Jalen's he's a brick house, and Kelsey's one of the greatest centers of all time. Once Kelsey retires, and then once Jalen starts getting older, they're not going to be able to do that often. And then after a while, I think it's going to be an irrelevant play. But like I said, if you are annoyed by it, play better defense on first and second down and third down.
Don't get it to third or short or fourth.
Yeah, exactly. Just play it better. But yeah, man, I mean, great game. By far the best entertaining game to watch this weekend. I think so.
Yeah. Well, I still think it's the best game of the season. I after the game, I felt like the Cowboys still won because of how well they played. And not, let's say, morally, like just watching the Cowboys offense alone, I felt like it was a win. And I felt like watching the Cowboys defense, like they weren't giving up massive plays. They weren't letting the Eagles run all over the place. And that's kind of when I realized, I looked at the stats, is the Cowboys defenses gave up a ton of yards on penalties that the Eagles capitalized once they got to the red zone and scored. Right. Because Jalen Hurts threw for less than 200 yards.
Yeah.
They ran for a team total of like 104 yards.
Right.
So they had like 215 yards of total offense and scored 28 points. Mm-hmm. Like they're getting down the field in certain ways.
It's methodical.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like the Cowboys had a bunch of 3 and outs where they got pinned in their own, their own 15 and can't get out, and the Eagles have great field position every single time.
No, yeah. I mean, it was a good back and forth, like we were talking about. Like it's cool seeing 2 quarterbacks perform at the top of their game, right?
Yeah.
And like it was. I mean, how many times have we seen big games and then one quarterback just doesn't show up and it makes it hard to watch?
Yeah.
Right.
And that was their first matchup, right, Drew?
Their second.
Second?
Yeah, so they're
but
1-1.
They didn't play last year, right?
Not at all last year.
They both rotated.
But I mean, and then we're gonna see them again later on. They're gonna see each other later on in Dallas, which I mean, things might go a little bit different. Is it the last game of the season for them?
Second to last or last?
No, this is in like,
or is it like
4 weeks? I think
like one of those turnarounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then who knows, man? What if there's a possibility they might see each other again in January?
It's December 10th, so it's about a month away.
Yeah. So that could very much be a possibility, and be able to watch these teams again 2 more times. That'd be freaking dope.
This is the epitome, I think, of NFC East rivalries. I feel like that game right there is what, when you think Cowboys Eagles, like that's what you think about.
And when they're getting chippy, that slow motion shot of Kelsey getting in some guy's face, like that was cool. It was fun to watch. It was a cool evening game in Philadelphia after the hour change. But yeah, man, I thought it was a really interesting game.
Okay, but before it sounds like you're going to transition.
Yeah, we're going to move on.
Okay. Who played better, Dak or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen.
You think Jalen played better?
I think Jalen played better.
I don't know. I want to say Dak just because based off of his stats, right? He threw for what, 3?
More, like 340?
No, 3 touchdowns.
I thought 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. He put up like 350.
And there could have been 4.
Yeah.
Should have been 4.
Mm-hmm. He threw for 374 yards, 3 touchdowns,
plus.
0 interceptions.
Yeah, he played really good.
But Jalen had
Jalen Hurts
2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
And 207 yards.
Yeah.
He rushed for how many?
36.
Dak, I felt scrambled a bit, didn't he?
I feel like Dak had 14 yards. But I feel like what it looks like he had a lot is because he was making throws out of the pocket like crazy. Yeah. I feel like
he was just scrambling around.
Yeah,
because there was a couple times where he did find CeeDee Lamb like on a scramble.
Well, yeah,
drill.
that's why. Like there was times where I was watching and I'm like, oh, he's making plays like out of the pocket. Like he's not like that. That Eagles defense was like they also had like 5 or 6 sacks, right? But he also
5 sacks. 4 of them against Terrence Steele.
Yeah, they should have had more, right? But he kept making plays himself, so I would have to.
The only reason I would go Jalen is because of that last drive, and how I think that not just the last drive, but
the Eagles' last drive.
No, the Cowboys' last drive. Like taking the sack on a big play, right? Pulls you out of the. I think they were like inside like the 6-yard line or something.
They're
like
on
that.
the 5.
Yeah. He takes a big sack, and then there was another one where they hit a big play, and instead of spiking the ball, they run a play.
Oh yeah, he runs a play.
Yeah, it like spiked the ball, and then they would have had like I think there would have been like another maybe 10 seconds on the clock, because then you run the play, and then now you leave yourselves with 5 seconds, right?
Okay, my 2 responses to that: the big sack. I mean, it's not like he was just standing and waiting in the pocket.
Well,
I mean,
just throw it out of the back of the end zone.
but if you see how quickly he gets there,
He gets
there quick.
hit. Yeah.
and he's there quick. I agree. Should have spiked the ball. That's what I would have done. I don't know what Mike McCarthy's screaming in his ear. Is he telling him to run a play? Is he not telling him to run a play? So
True. Is that
because
on Mike?
everyone ran routes.
Right.
So it's not like
They're like a surprise.
It was a surprise. Like, oh shit, everyone's thinking we're going to spike this.
Right.
It looked like there was a design there.
Yeah. And then before that too, it was he called a quarterback draw at the 5.
Yes.
That they got blown dead because of the false start.
Something that
And it would have been short.
It would have been short,
with
way
no
short,
timeouts,
and with no
so you
timeouts.
would have wasted a lot of time.
that's
there.
something
Yeah.
that Dallas has done with Dak throughout the year. It's almost like Dak's moneymaker. He's done that so many times. I don't do that without any timeouts.
No.
But I'm not going to say that's Dak's fault.
No, that I wasn't blaming Dak. I was blaming Mike. That's for sure his call to make.
Yeah. I feel like after that game, there's only one thing that I really would have questioned Dak on, and there's an explanation behind that, and I feel like it's an acceptable explanation. Why are you throwing to Tolbert with the game on the line?
Oh,
And the explanation is
on the 4th down, the man coverage across the
CD
board.
is covered.
He was like triple covered.
And Jake Ferguson is covered.
Yeah.
They both line up on the same side to try and get one or the other open, and they both run fairly similar routes, and there's a safety help, both of them playing man.
Right.
Makes sense. Right. Okay. When you come to the line, you see that, you're like, Tolbert's over there one-on-one, but he's one-on-one for a reason.
I heard that complaint earlier this week or yesterday. I think even that same day by like all the analysts on ESPN and everything. But that's Monday morning quarterbacking. In hindsight, 2020, okay, yeah, definitely.
With the game on the line, that's your read, right?
Yeah.
You take a look
and it's
instinct. you see man with a safety over the top, man, no help.
Yeah.
Like that's 9 out of 10 times that's where you're going to throw the ball.
That's his fundamentals coming in.
It's real easy to say after the fact that throw it to the best player on the field.
And that's what I found weird is like all the Monday morning quarterbacking with all these analysts and stuff on ESPN.
Most of them are quarterbacks.
No, but a lot of them that never played. Like I was saying that
yeah,
argument,
yeah.
you know, like Darren Orlovsky, yeah, he played, you know, like. But some of these other guys that never played, it makes it to me that's kind of weird.
Like we said, after the play, you look at it and you're like, man,
hindsight's
really
2020.
should have thrown it to CeeDee Lamb. But then in the moment, the throw is not to CeeDee Lamb. It is to Tolbert. It's just unfortunate that it's Tolbert out
there. Anything you want to add to that before we close out? Move on to the next topic.
Good.
No,
you guys. Drew got his got it all off his chest. I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many.
Every time the Cowboys lose,
I'm not frustrated at the Cowboys. Honestly, I'm really.
It was a good measuring stick to see where you guys are at. How you guys were able to go into a hostile environment. I mean, Philly is not the best place to play.
It's not easy to win at Philly.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, and then to hold it to a close game like that, I was mostly impressed by your guys' defense. And I thought it was going to be like the same thing when they went to go play against the Niners and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But, no, they held up.
Deron Blank gave up his first touchdown.
Those divisional games are tough. They know each other so well.
Like, when you play each other twice a year. Yeah. And you're able to man up against – I mean, A.J. Brown, really not a huge factor, right?
No,
Same thing
66
with Devontae
yards.
Smith, yeah.
He went like 6 straight games of 125 or more and had 66 yards.
Yeah.
And most of those were in the first half, quarter.
Yeah. Definitely the game of the week. Anything that surprised you about the Chiefs and Dolphins game that Sunday morning while you were watching it with one eye open?
No, I just you can't really win a game when you don't score in the first half. So,
that fumble, the Tyreek fumble, I think that was a turning point.
Because that's a 7 or like a 14-point swing. Because at worst, it's like you go in, you kick a field goal, but now you just gave up 7 the other way.
It could be potentially 14-7 and a half, but then it's 21-0.
I'm not. Tua had 2 blunders at the end to tie the game.
Let's talk about that.
So
let's talk about that. The before the fumble snap. Let's talk about the throw. Has he explained like what?
No, the ball slipped.
He said just the ball slipped.
The ball slipped because he had Cedric Wilson on the go route,
right,
and he missed him. And then the fumbled snap, which it looked like he kind of took his eye off the ball. Like he was
like
already
the moment was just like too big for him.
Like he was just going into the back pedal already. Like he was already looking for
because they were bringing pressure.
Yeah,
it looked like they were bringing 7 guys.
And both times he had Cedric Wilson on the go route,
wide open by the way.
And then he had Jalen Waddle on a skinny post, wide open too, who had beat his man inside.
That really sucks, man.
And so but. It is another good team that they can't beat. So
it's good. The narrative is going to be the same.
It's fine. Just keep beating up on the bad teams.
Just do enough to get you into the playoffs.
They'll get in beating the bad teams because they got to play 4 more of them. So that's at least 10 wins.
And then you see what happens the next time they meet the Bills, because the Bills haven't looked too hot lately, right? So
and they're going to take a good shot at them now that they get them at home. So
exactly, and not in Buffalo. Let's talk about the Chiefs and their defense. If they make it back to the Super Bowl, is it because of the defense?
Yeah, because 21 points usually that's not enough.
That's not enough, right?
No. Right. And especially when you have Mahomes at quarterback, you're used to at least mid-30s. You know,
like all the stuff going off and stuff.
Kelsey, I will give the Dolphins credit. They shut down Kelsey. Kelsey had maybe 3 catches max, 2 catches max.
Right. Yeah.
So that was their game plan. You're not going to beat us with Kelsey. You're going to beat us with everything else that you have, but not Kelsey.
And that's the thing with the Chiefs is if him and Kelsey don't do that backyard, football stuff where they're drawing stuff in the dirt, it's they don't get much production out of the rest of their offense, huh?
No, and I feel like Miami did settle into the game because they gave up the opening drive for a touchdown.
Right.
And they were down 21-0 and fought back into it. But, I'm not going to sit here and just not say that they didn't earn it because, they should have at least tied the game at worst, taking it to overtime.
It should have gone to overtime at the very least.
But, you have to be able to overcome stuff like that in a game if you want to be a good football team.
Especially if you want to be a playoff team in the AFC.
There's going to be stuff that goes haywire, and you just have to overcome it. So until they figure out how to win or beat a good team, then that's going to be the story all year long, that they can beat up on the bad teams but not the good teams. So
exactly. Any surprise performances from this week that you guys weren't expecting? CJ Stroud, the big one that sticks out.
No. I'll give you guys one. Stroud had a great game. Josh Dobbs.
Oh, that's another good one.
Goes into Atlanta.
This dude didn't even practice with the team all week.
You see him taking snaps on the sideline before the
game? He was learning the snap count on the sideline.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah,
the guys were huddled around him, yeah.
He didn't even know half the guys' names.
Do you know anybody's names?
No.
When I first meet somebody, it takes me a while.
Where's Justin Jefferson at? Oh, yeah, he's on the bench. Fuck.
That's the only guy I know.
Fuck.
Coach.
You know what would have been great is if he came into the locker room at the end of the game and said, "You like that?" That would have been epic.
That would have been pretty sweet.
But Stroud, right? 5 TDs,
5 touchdowns. Hey,
CeeDee Lamb had 191 yards. I want to put on notice. He had a really good game.
He had a good game. Okay. But, you expect that out of CeeDee Lamb, right?
191 yards, career game? That's a lot of yards.
But we've all known he's capable
he popped
of doing something
2 weeks ago? Yeah. Against the Rams, he had a great game too, right?
155.
Yeah, we know what he's capable of.
How many times have we talked about Stroud?
You're right. It was really the CeeDee Lamb versus A.J. Brown matchup that I wanted.
Right. No, yeah. C.J. Stroud, remember coming out of the draft, he failed the cognitive test or whatever that was,
the quarterback or the one they give to
test their IQ, their quarterback
IQ. The Wonderlic test,
Wonderlic test. There we go. And how I guess supposedly that tanked his stock big time.
Yeah, because apparently if you score bad on it, it's not a good.
It's not a good sign.
But it's not always that. You got to be a baller too.
I thought Will Levis was pretty good. He lost, but I thought he was pretty good.
Drew's giving us great performances by losing teams this week.
Yeah.
His first start or second start.
Winning the game is part of it, man.
I
that's gotta not the question. You said who played good. Surprise
performances.
Well, yeah, we were gonna expect. We were just talking about how Minnesota. You were telling them to tank, and here they go.
And then
we all sat here last week and said, "Dobbs, really? This is not the guy we expect.
Okay, but I mean,
I said he wasn't bad. Like I said, he's decent enough to.
He's elite, dude. He beat the Cowboys.
They're gonna end up like 9-8 and just squeaking in somehow.
yeah, they'll squeak in. I mean, and then given how the NFC is right now, I mean, like it looks like the Rams are gonna be out of it, right? Like they haven't put a couple of games together.
Yeah, when you put Brett Ripe in that quarterback,
dude, it was just bad. Like Cooper Kupp had like one reception coming into the fourth quarter.
I didn't waste my time watching that game.
No, it was bad.
It sounds like a lot like Devontae. One reception in the fourth quarter.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, yeah, that's another one. The Giants, the Raiders, right?
Yeah,
beating the Giants. Yeah,
that's a surprise performance.
That's a surprise performance, right? I mean, even
performance when their head coach gets fired and the backup comes in and wins a game.
Isn't it like
I've seen this before?
Isn't it like 100% like the chance of winning? After you hire your head coach, yeah,
your team's just suddenly fired up. Right?
But I mean, it looks like they had fun. And let's talk.
Versace, we miss you.
I don't want to go too much into McDaniels because we did that a lot last week. But the thing that I think you sent it to us, where it was just like how they had the team meeting, all the players went off on him. Like I wonder what the meeting was going to be about it. He's like. Because he was the one that put it together, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody went off and then just went off on him.
And then he gets fired.
And then just started talking all kinds of shit.
Like, wait, you guys don't like him? All right, you're fired.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, what his thought process was like going into that meeting. Like,
well, the comments, like, it made you feel like he was arrogant. Like, nobody was like, because he came from the Patriots, like, everyone had to follow, like, the way. But, like, he never earned it, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, he put himself on this pedestal.
Well, I heard
all the players were like,
I heard one of his former players, I guess, played for him in the Patriots and talk about how he was like always super disrespectful at everybody. But I like the way he put it, where he was talking about the NFL, it's filled with alphas. The alphas are the alphas. Even though the guys that don't play, they're still alpha. Like giving a they were the best ones in high school, they were the best ones in their college, and then like it just carries on, right? But when you have a guy like this, or he was talking about leadership and how a lot of these guys are alpha enough to let another guy lead them who's just as alpha, but he's willing to take the responsibility in and be respectful to the rest of the team, and then they'll lead it, right? And you think your leaders, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, and all that stuff. They were saying how McDaniels tried to do it like that, but was just a super asshole about it.
Well, he never earned it.
And he was just super disrespectful. Like, just across the board. Like, I don't know.
Well, that's what tells you how the locker room was. That's why everyone's now responding to Antonio Pierce. So,
yeah.
I mean.
And then how Pierce played for the Giants, beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, that undefeated team.
Isn't that how he tried to, like...
He tried to light them up.
He light them up, and then that's where McDaniels took offense.
He's like, don't talk about the Patriots like that.
Well, that's the arrogance.
So dare you.
Yeah, again, same thing.
He thought that, like, you couldn't talk about it. It's like, bro, you don't coach for the
Patriots. You don't coach for
them
anymore, yeah.
You coach for the Raiders. Like, why is that important?
Yeah, exactly.
So
especially, like, well, I mean, how many years ago was that? Where it's like, you should be like, you know what, yeah, we should have creamed these guys, and freaking Eli Manning comes up and beats us. Like,
yeah,
if they can do it, we can do it.
Yeah, and then that's what he tried to instill in his players. He was like, that team at any day could beat anybody, that Giants team. He's like, that's the mentality we had, and he said that's what the mentality that we need to have here at the Raiders. And I guess the players responded to that really well, except not McDaniels. Yeah. But I mean, screw him, dude. Like, I mean, if this guy ever gets a head coaching job again, dude.
I don't think he will.
There's no point. He's gonna make so much money not coaching.
Yeah,
I just retire.
Yeah, that's what surprises me about them firing him. Like how much money he's gonna make, and like just sit there and not do anything. Same thing with Gruden.
Maybe probably sitting at home, kicking his feet up, laughing at everyone.
I think he's like sitting at home watching the game. Like, I hope these fuckers lose. Like,
oh yeah, come on, dude.
Right? Like he's like, oh, I hope everything just falls apart while I'm gone. And no, it looks like it was a complete opposite. No.
Same thing happened when
everybody balled out. Yeah, exactly. Any other surprise performances? Anything?
Joey Burrow looked good.
Oh yeah, he's starting to turn it back on.
Yeah, his legs look good now.
Remember when you guys told me to my face that I was dumb when I said the Bengals are going to make the playoffs?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you guys are.
He picked him to win the MVP.
Super Bowl.
No, but I remember when we did.
Oh,
it was when we did not the 0-2 teams. We did it was like the truth or cap thing that we played. And I was telling you guys where I was throwing a bunch of things at you guys. Where like, okay, tell me if there's this true, there's this
I'm
cap.
gonna need to see a replay of this.
I'll pull it up.
I don't believe
I'll pull it up. It's in one of our podcasts.
He'll clip it for you.
I'll clip it for you. But for sure.
Right here, this is where you clip it and you add that and do
But
this
it was
episode.
okay. So I think at this point they might have been like 1-3. Like they looked awful. I think it was right after they. I think they lost to Arizona. Or no. I think they beat Arizona. I think it was the week after that they lost. When I said that they're still going to go to the AFC playoffs.
He looks healthy, and that team is starting to play a lot better.
They're starting to put it together. I mean, Joe Burrow, he's starting to push off that foot when earlier during the year it didn't look like he could move around at all.
He broke a couple of tackles too. He was able to.
He made some scrambles.
Yeah.
That was impressive. Ran upfield.
That was impressive. I also think the Bills are low key ass.
That's what I was going to ask. What's wrong with the Bills?
I was going to say, we give Tua credit, and then we also slander on Tua when he plays bad, like he did Sunday.
I brought up like 2 weeks ago. Josh Allen is not playing well. He's not him.
I mean, Josh Allen deserves the same kind of energy because this team does not look good right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been, 3-4 weeks in a row now?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is that everybody's super used to putting these guys on a pedestal. These quarterbacks that can make all worldly throws, right? Like he could just like pull anything out of their butts. And you couldn't say anything negative about them. Like Herbert, him, Mahomes, I mean, Jalen you could probably throw in there. Mm-hmm. You couldn't say anything negative. But then I think now it's starting to see like, hey, like these guys can't just put the team on the back and expect to win, right? That you need a team around you.
He forces stuff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, he's not beating good teams either. Miami's the best team he beat. I mean, they are a really good team, but they beat the Raiders, they beat the Commanders, they lost to the Jets, they beat the Dolphins, they lost to the Jags, they beat the Giants barely. They lost to the Patriots. Barely lost to the Bucks, or barely beat the Bucks, and they just lost to the Bengals. Mm-hmm. And in that Giants game, there should have been a pass interference called at the end of the game.
Oh, right, with Tyrod Taylor.
So when Bills fans sit there and argue with Dolphin fans and say, you guys haven't beat any good teams, they can clap back and be like, well, you guys haven't beat anybody besides us.
That's that same energy. Yeah. I would say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're on that one. One more surprise performance is Seattle. And not putting up as big of a fight.
Surprised is a bad way.
Yeah. Not putting up as big as a fight as I thought they would.
Yeah.
I thought they would have played better against Baltimore, but Baltimore did legit whatever the fuck they wanted against them, right? Just
that defense looked good.
Yeah. How many yards did they run for? Can you pull that up?
Team stats.
It was at least 250.
They ran for 298 yards.
Yeah, let's say 250 plus at least. Because that,
I mean, Lamar Jackson caught snaps. That's all he did.
And then just handed the ball off.
He didn't have to do much.
No. He threw for 187 yards.
I think I saw he had 8 fantasy points or something like that.
He didn't do much. It was like 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's less than 5 fantasy points throwing, and he ran for 60 yards.
So that's 11,
that's another
10,
10,
11 points.
Yeah. But then you look at Mitchell ran for 138, Gus Edwards for 52, Hill for 40. And even Tyler Huntley got himself 8 yards.
Yeah, they just ran the ball.
They just ran it down Seattle's throat. Like it wasn't even close.
No. Now looking at that, do you think it's more of a mistake now, not getting Derrick Henry to come in?
What?
Like not trading for him?
The Ravens? They're doing fine with it.
But I mean, could you imagine if they would have had him? Right?
Why though? If you're putting up 290, like you don't need him. Like
you don't make that move.
Leads me to believe that Seattle should have done something.
They should have made a move.
They should have made a move
to put something together.
Because I mean, you have to look at the deadline, right? The Niners are catchable in your division if you make the right moves.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, they're leaders in the division right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still think the Niners are the favorite. But I think they're catchable. In the
long run, yeah.
I'll give the Ravens credit, though. 2 key games, and 2
back-to-back
weeks.
Yeah, they beat the Lions, and then they beat Seattle.
They beat 2 top NFC teams.
And it wasn't even close both times.
No, either one.
Like, completely obliterated them.
I think the biggest flex of this win yesterday was Lamar didn't have to do anything.
No, and that's the scary part.
Really?
That's what I'm saying. That's the flex.
Right. Like, you didn't ask Lamar to,
You didn't ask your best player
to pull something out of his ass you like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, where they're legit have to carry the team, where you didn't have to do that. And then on the other side of the ball, their defense is just playing lights out, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not like they shut down 2 good offenses, right?
Yeah.
Back to back. It's not like Seattle or Detroit, they don't have a quarterback or they don't.
Well, we were talking about them how
together.
like they was supposed to be a big game, right?
Right. This was
Detroit coming into Baltimore, and then also Seattle kind of
Right.
like on the up and coming teams, and then they just both get blown out of the
Right.
water.
To be fair, I think we did all pick Baltimore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we still expected like a good
A
game.
good fight.
I expected better than 3 points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Kenneth Walker's been having a great year. He ran for 16 yards yesterday.
it was
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, not cut at all. Let's talk about the injuries. The big, I guess the big main one, Daniel Jones this weekend.
So I don't want to waste that much time talking about Daniel Jones. I want to jump to Tyrod Taylor. What's his injury? When can they get him back on the field?
That's a good
I'm not
question.
sure
I have
what he had.
no clue.
But was it DeVito? DeVito's going to be the guy until they get
Until
Tyrod
they
back.
get Tyrod back, yeah.
Well, that's great because the Cowboys got the Giants next week. We're looking to murder someone on a little revenge game.
Is that the game they have?
Yeah,
On
next
Sunday?
week.
Oh yeah, well Cowboys by probably 40.
Oh,
next week.
yeah. Take the over.
yeah.
Take the over.
Yeah, the over and whatever the spread is on that.
Yeah, so right now there's no time frame on he's coming back.
But
Maybe
what was it?
it's
What was
rib
it?
injuries.
Oh, rib injury?
injuries. So I mean, it's
That's not good for a quarterback. You
I
can't-
mean,
you can't
yeah,
throw.
you can't throw,
You can't
yeah.
throw with rib injuries.
But I mean, well, at least it's not like a freaking torn ACL. So
You think Tommy DeVito's related to Danny DeVito?
I don't know. That's what I was gonna call. I was about to call him Danny DeVito,
there-
and I was like, I don't think that's right.
is there any resemblance? Probably
I don't
not.
know.
I don't know.
I don't think there's anybody
Let's
on
look
the
this guy.
planet that looks like Danny DeVito.
Um,
But I mean, yeah, is that the big main one? Is there anything else you can think of
no,
injury wise?
Not really. We get guys coming back like Kyler. Kyler's gonna finally come
Yeah,
back.
he looks
Kyler's
nothing
coming
like
around.
Danny DeVito. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this
not at
guy's
all.
whiter than white.
No, he's whiter than white.
Looks like Wonder Bread.
But yeah, Kyler's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you
Like
see-
for sure next week. Like,
Yeah, they said he's if all goes well this week, he's gonna start Sunday.
doesn't Call of Duty come out pretty soon?
Oh. I'm just gonna,
just-
I'm just gonna lose him right away.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
So he's just gonna lock onto video games instead of watching film.
I think Justin
He's allowed
Jefferson's.
our high school team.
Yeah,
I think
yeah. That's
I
what I was
think
gonna
Justin
bring up.
Jefferson is designated for like he can start his practice window. Now, okay, so does he come back now?
I'm starting to think they've got an easy schedule coming up, don't they?
Yeah, I told you guys, right?
They do.
It wasn't-
Okay, well Atlanta is ass, right? Like you gotta call Atlanta ass.
You're
a little
right,
bit.
but they got
look
the
at their
Saints.
next four.
They got the Saints,
Winnable.
Broncos, Bears,
Winnable.
Raiders.
Winnable.
okay,
Winnable.
we've talked about this before.
So then it's
But
not, out of,
they-
and they're what now? 5-4.
Yep. And then it gets
They're 5-4.
It gets tough at the end. They got Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions.
Okay, yes, them making the playoffs is not out of the question.
Yes.
I agree. I do agree.
Um,
However, do I see them actually doing it and pulling it off with
But that's
Joshua Dobbs?
that's a huge accomplishment considering where they were starting off 1-4.
Yeah, it was
Dude,
tough.
I think it's also interesting. You know that they're 1-4 at home.
They've only beat the Niners at
so
home.
they've been road dogs this year.
Yeah.
Huh? Road warriors.
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
All right. Well, what do we got this week? Games. Isn't it a Panthers and
Bears.
Broncos?
The Bears.
Panthers
Another
and Bears on Thursday night, man. Highly anticipated matchup.
I think
It-
the
it's okay.
the
We're
primetime games are terrible.
We're
this
going to
week,
be
right?
busy on Thursday
they're
night.
god-awful.
So,
Oh, thank God.
yeah.
Thank God.
So we don't have to feast our eyes on.
They're absolutely terrible. We just watched one team play.
Yeah.
There's Sunday night, Jets and Raiders, and then Broncos and Bills.
That's Monday night.
That's Monday night.
Oh my God!
It's
Yeah, the
it's
primetime games have been
terrible.
absolutely
The
terrible.
fact, I don't know if they're just saving their flexes for like later on in the year.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, when do they start doing that?
They can
Because
do it
there's-
already, but I don't know if you are only allowed a certain
There's
amount.
honestly not a lot of great games. I think the best toe-to-toe matchup we're gonna see is Niners-Jags.
That's what I was gonna
Ooh,
say,
is
but you
that-
can't
Oh.
because you can't flex that because it's in the 10 a.m.
Yeah,
window.
But
Yeah.
there's also you got Browns-Ravens, two really good defenses going at each other.
and
This is
that's
a second matchup, right?
and that's a divisional game
yeah.
Mm-hmm. In Baltimore.
in Baltimore.
The Ravens dominated that first one.
You could see a decent game with Lions-Chargers.
Well, Deshaun Watson did play well this past weekend, given it was against the Cardinals, but he did play well. So who knows? I mean, maybe he might put something together. The Packers and Steelers.
Yeah.
No.
Saints and Vikings.
I'm gonna really enjoy the Giants Cowboys game because it's just gonna be a strict.
Is it the 1 o'clock window?
1:25.
Yeah,
it's the game of the week, baby. Again,
I mean the Sunday night game, the Jets and the Raiders. I guess is not too bad, right?
it's two mid teams going at each other, so it's gonna be.
I mean, you get to see. There's still superstars on the field. But you know,
Not at
Aaron
quarterback.
Rodgers out. You know,
I just saw the
Garoppolo
Jets
just got
score
benched.
But what
6
makes-
points against the Chargers, who are ass on defense.
That is true.
What makes these matchups? Because I looked forward to watching Allen versus Burrow. I'm like, oh,
Well,
two
that's
good quarterbacks,
yeah,
you know.
But this was supposed to be Rodgers against Garoppolo. Like that's what it was. We were
Now
going
we
into.
get-
I don't know
Now
about
we
two
get-
good quarterbacks.
hey.
One of them is really, really good, and the other one's competent enough.
Now we get Zach Wilson versus Aiden O'Connell.
Wow.
And it's supposed to be Russell Wilson against Josh Allen on Monday.
I guess
Yeah.
that's better than
Well-
some of the matchups.
And then, theoretically, it was supposed to be Fields against what's his name, Young in Carolina.
Oh yeah, Fields and Bryce Young. Yeah, but it's just it makes it more and more interesting when you have two really good quarterbacks go at it,
Yeah.
right? Like back and forth. When one of them's not too good, I don't know. I think there was one primetime game where it was like watching Russell Wilson against the Chiefs, and he just like wasn't moving the ball at all.
Yeah.
And then the second time they turn around, they do beat him. But I forgot there was another one too. Or even like the Giants and the Jets was like what, like 15
7
punts?
to 10.
Yeah.
That was boring.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't even watch that game. Don't waste my time watching that game. The week after, we got a couple of good ones. Prime time. Bengals Ravens on Thursday.
Ooh,
And
that was going to be the awesome
Vikings
one.
Broncos. Okay. All right. Josh Dobbs against Russell Wilson. Not too bad. And then Eagles Chiefs.
Monday night?
Super Bowl rematch. Monday
Yeah.
night.
Mhm.
That's
No-
the week of
November-
Thanksgiving.
November 20th.
Nice. That's a
All
good
right.
matchup on Monday night.
So before we go into the picks, any other storylines you guys want to bring up for this past weekend? Nothing crazy, right? Two out of the bag, two out of the ordinary.
Next coach to get or who's on the hot seat right now? Because
Coach-wise?
McDaniels is done. So who's next? Because there's going to be at least 3-4 more.
I would have
You know what's crazy?
said
Jim?
Staley, but he won, and I think he's just buying himself a little bit more time.
Staley deserves to be fired. Yeah.
Dable.
Brian Dable.
I don't think Brian Dable gets fired though.
Yeah.
His roster.
No, I just
he
said the
had-
hot seat. Who's on the hot? Whose
he had
seat
a
is the
good
hottest?
he had a good season last year where they came back and they made the playoffs. What's the coach for the Bills?
McDermott.
I'm gonna start looking into this guy.
But he's the one that came in and turned your franchise around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what have they done with it?
So then you have to look at the OC because there's a lot of Bills fans that complain about Ken Dorsey. and their
What
OC.
if at the end of the year they fire Dable and Dable goes back to being the Bills OC,
That could be something good for them.
right?
I just think the Bills in question. You got to start putting question marks next to the.
Does
Buffalo Bills.
Arizona's new head coach get a pass because it's his first year?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have. Kyle,
yeah,
right?
he doesn't have Kyle. He
He
doesn't have any
even
talent.
have his quarterback.
Matt Eberflus, Chicago.
Yeah, it's the second year, right?
Yeah, or even Frank Wright.
Yeah,
I think
Fields-
if
Fields
it's your
has
first
missed-
year, you kind of get a pass.
Fields has missed half the season.
But still,
and they got two
year,
draft picks, two top 5 draft picks.
But
coming up.
last year you had him. You had him for the whole season. You won 3 games.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
say Dable,
Dable,
hottest seat.
Hottest seat?
Staley, hottest seat.
Staley?
I would still
In-
go
in the
Matt
NF
Eberflus.
in the
Eberflus?
NFL.
Yeah.
Staley, in my opinion.
What about
I think Frank Wright's like right there too.
I just think if it's your first year, you kind of get a
You get the pass?
because they'll give
Let me go
because they
to
invested
developers.
money on you. So they'll. What about Mike Vrabel?
No,
Nah,
no, not at all. I think now that they're trying kind of to turn the ship. When they fired their GM, that AJ Brown trade was huge. You got to admit, right? Because then having now,
But I'm just saying,
you
like,
have AJ Brown, you have Derrick Henry, and then now that they got what they could have out of Tannehill, right? And then they did just enough to where they fell in the draft because they won enough games, but they weren't good enough to trade all the way up to get one of these quarterbacks, right? Without trading away Derrick Henry.
I don't feel like Vrabel has done anything where we need to come for his head. Like what with what talent has he had? Like, dude, you should have won the Super Bowl, or you should have blown everyone out.
But they've drafted 2 quarterbacks the last 2 years, and I mean, it's not aside from a couple performances from Levis, it's not.
Well, I mean, he's only gotten 2 opportunities.
What if
but this is a performance-based league? Like people want to see results.
Okay, he went toe-to-toe with the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
We got to see. We got to see more.
Okay, yeah, but still, it's still in Pittsburgh.
But he's not playing against Kenny Pickett. He's lining up against
16 points.
Yeah, but he's lining up against J.J. Watt.
That's his second game in the NFL. I'm not going to fire the coach because your second game in the NFL, you can't win in Pittsburgh.
Look, at some point, the
against
quarterback
T.J. Watt.
Yes,
against Mika Fitzpatrick.
Let's not act like the Pittsburgh defense is slouches. They're still
Pittsburgh
pretty good.
averages like 17 a game. They don't even score a lot.
Okay,
Will Levis doesn't play defense.
So then fire your defensive coordinator. How is that?
That's why I'm saying Vrabel's name should be up there. If they can't win more than 8 games,
if you don't want to get rid of McDermott, you want to get rid of the offensive coordinator. I would do the same thing with Vrabel.
Okay, but I'm just saying that's Dable. It's because we're going to see at least 4 or 5 guys that get the axe.
Oh yeah, it happens every year.
So I think Dable.
I think Eberflus. I think Dable.
Dable's not going to get fired because he hasn't had Daniel Jones. They just paid Daniel.
They're not going to let Daniel Jones go. They just invested all that money in him.
Yeah, but why as Giants fans do you look at this season and blame Dable?
I mean, he's the one that's putting everything together. He's at the end of the day, he was part of the decision to sign Daniel Jones.
I'm not saying Daniel Jones is good because I don't think he's good.
Okay,
but
he did take him to the playoffs last year.
Yes, and you just paid him, and he's supposed to be the guy to change your franchise, and he plays, 3-4 games?
And then you can't blame him for how bad the roster is either, right? I mean, there's other guys that are their scouting department, your GM. He's got to give him a better roster. Just having Saquon is not going to be enough. Like, can you name somebody on their defense other than... I can't even think of anybody on their defense right now.
What's his name?
The guy they just...
The D lineman, what's his name?
Thibodeau.
Dexter Lawrence. There you go. There's one.
Thibodeau. Yeah.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dexter
This
Lawrence.
is the dude with the X in his name.
Yeah. But that's all. That's
but
it.
He's been mid. Like he was supposed to be a dude on the. He was supposed to be Chase Young in college.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
That's what we just said.
Yeah.
So Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, and that's what he was supposed to be. Nick Bosa like.
Yeah.
He's been mid. And Micah Parsons is a better defensive end than he is.
Well, Micah Parsons is probably
also like one of the.
Micah Parsons has also been playing defensive end for like
generational talent.
He's been playing defensive end for like 13 months.
Okay. Give it to the Cowboy fan. Let me throw in some names here. But yeah, I don't see them firing Dable.
At some point, okay, but I'm just saying because we always like the reason I bring up Vrabel is how long are you going to be mid? How long are you going to just be average and be 9 and 8?
Then you're going to put him over the hump.
Because the reason they got rid of the head coach before Vrabel came in, was it Arthur Smith? Arthur Smith was the OC.
Was it? That's a good question.
Before Vrabel, can you look it up real quick?
Yeah, how do you spell Vrabel?
Vrabel, or I think it's Brael.
Give me a few minutes here.
But the that was a surprise when Tennessee brought Mike Vrabel in because the guy before him was kind of like the same, just 8-8.
Kind of just kept it mid, and that's when they had
7-9.
That's when they had Mariota there.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And then that's why everyone's kind of caught off guard, like really. But then it's like, oh well, Vrabel's kind of along the same line. Aside from that number 1 seed they had a couple years ago, they haven't really done much.
Mike Mularkey.
Yeah,
Vrabel won Coach of the Year 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's why. When they had the number 1 seed.
Well, yeah, I think that's when they. Was it when they beat the Patriots or they beat the Patriots, I think, the year before that in the playoffs? Tom Brady's last game with the Patriots.
Well, if they're the 1 seed, they couldn't have beat him because they went on the road. So it might have been
3 years. I think that was 3 years ago.
It was the year before he won it.
And then, but I mean, I don't think I would give him at least one more year to see what Will Levis is going to be, because I think by this time next year we'll know whether or not Will Levis is a starting caliber quarterback, right?
Another name just to throw out there, Sean McVay. I mean, does he?
That's another one.
He's 3-6, right? 3-6 or 3-5?
Let me So you're talking about Vrabel, right?
Yeah.
In 18, 9-7.
Okay.
19, 9-7, went to the AFC Championship. 20, 11-5, lost in the playoffs. 21, 12-5, lost in the playoffs.
Okay.
And currently, and then 2022, 7-10. His only losing season is last year.
Was a 7-10.
And what are their? Well, are they 5-4 or 4?
No,
5?
they're 4-5.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, and then now that you have Will Levis, I mean, who knows what will that turn into?
You know damn well that Tannehill was not a good quarterback.
I told you guys that.
Yeah,
you witnessed it firsthand.
So I with him as quarterback for how many years? 3 years. I'm not going to start pointing fingers at
to be
Vrabel.
able to pull that out of that team with that roster.
Well, I'm just saying
but
that
you also had Derrick
you
Henry.
should be running away with that division with how incompetent the Colts have been the last 3 years.
The Colts have been pretty
and
bad.
how bad the Texans were. Now they're looking good.
Now, yeah.
And
now
then give a little more credit to the Jags.
Now it looks like the
Jags have turned over a leaf.
This year they have, but like past year,
last year was their
they were
first.
pretty good.
Yeah, last year was their first year like up and coming. Like now they've established themselves, right?
But the year before that too. I mean, the Jags were
you should
pretty
be
terrible.
running away with that division every single year.
Well, they did. Before the Jags became good, they were.
But like now,
Vrabel, they were.
The Sean McVay one is interesting.
Well,
the one that you bring it up, yeah, because everybody's healthy this year. I mean, Matthew Stafford has missed just one game, but the year before,
I mean, Cooper Kupp has only played like 3 games.
But now he's back. But then you've created Cooper Kupp 2.0 with Puka. He's the second leading receiver in yardage.
And I think that they're trying to find their identity with that. Like, how do you explore an offense with 2 guys identical? Who's getting the ball in what situation? They also have no running back.
They can't run the ball at all.
They can't run the ball. And Matthew Stafford's hurt again.
He's missed one game, but he played god-awful against the Cowboys.
Well, yeah, and that's the game he got hurt in.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is not good, and they have no running back.
Their offensive line did struggle.
That means that you're relying on your defense to keep you in the game. Okay, their defense is not great, and you're relying on Matthew Stafford to throw for 400 yards.
Right.
And it's not easy to do that. And I mean, is he getting blown out by bad teams?
So they have 3 losses in a row right now. They went Steelers at home, they lost to the Cowboys, and they lost to the Packers. Well, no Matthew Stafford, right? But even before that, you beat the Cardinals, you lost to the Eagles, you beat the Colts, you lost to the Bengals, you lost to the Niners, and you beat Seattle. So, I mean,
I feel like
they've played tough competition.
I feel like they've just ran into a lot of problems, and I don't think that's McVay's fault.
But that was last year as well, too, right? Stafford was out.
Stafford was out. Cooper Kupp was out. Yeah. Aaron Donald was out. So I mean, you lost superstars, but I mean, it's not like they left themselves in good situations after the Super Bowl, right? When they went all in. I them picks.
I just bring this topic up because like there's always a lot of coaching turnover, and these owners are so like you're not performing.
I'll tell you what.
To get you out of
here. I tell you what. If McVay gets fired, he's the first coach to get hired.
Probably.
Yeah. Now, what's more likely though, that he gets fired or that he leaves under his own accord?
Well, that was another thing that I want to talk about, right? Because he wanted to retire after the Super Bowl,
possibly retire, go work for Fox or CBS or whatever, right?
I mean, a lot of these scores are close, though.
McVay's like what, 35?
Yeah, he's
like 36. Yeah,
I don't think it's just been a lot of bad luck for him lately. But I just like to bring up the topics because I'm like some of these owners like they get so like antsy and they want to. They think
I think
changing head coach.
I think if he gets fired, he would go do something else. But I don't see him just deciding to retire.
Yeah.
Well, he just had a newborn too, so does that play?
Maybe just step aside for a little while. Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to retire when you've seen his coaching peers. Like they're still going out there and going after
his coaching tree, right?
Yes.
You're right. Like Shanahan, LaFleur, and all those guys that are still doing things. Well, what about Matt LaFleur? Your first year without Rodgers?
I never thought he was that great.
I
never thought he was that great of a head coach. Anyway,
that's another one that I think might be on the hot seat.
I think he was in a pretty easy division for a few years with Aaron Rodgers, and
he sits just heating up a little bit.
Yeah.
No,
I think you're right with this one.
Yeah,
it's a little warm now.
Then the Lions are doing what they're doing.
A lot of the head coach the hot seat is tied into the quarterback development. I feel like. So
Right.
if you can't develop a quarterback, you're going to be out.
Right.
Because that's where a lot of the.
Well, I mean, look
or
at
if you don't have a good relationship with your quarterback, you know.
Well, look at McVay, another one. I mean, he had to go out there and get his quarterback,
Yeah.
right? To come in and win him his games. Vrabel, same thing. Like, you got to develop your quarterback, man. Is Will Levis going to be your
what
guy?
What happens when it all goes south? Garoppolo and McDaniel.
McDaniel, right? Supposedly you brought in a guy that you worked with before. You pushed the last guy out of here. Okay, make it work with him. And then it just got worse. Way worse. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean,
We'll see. That's just one that at the midseason point I wanted to see what you guys thought, like who's on the hot seat.
I think we threw out some pretty good names out
And
there.
who can either bounce back or who's going to be out.
I think who we've talked about before, who could be on the hot seat, but we won't know until the very end of the season, is Mike McCarthy.
It depends on the year.
Depends on
feel like-
how we
that's
But
finish.
I feel like
everybody, yeah.
every Cowboys head coach has always been on the hot seat.
Not fucking Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett was the
That's-
coach
he
of
was
the
Andrew's
Cowboys.
favorite
No, he was
right
on the
there.
hot seat for you from the fans.
Dude, he was so mid. So mid.
Yeah,
For
it was
so
pretty
long.
bad. Yeah. But yeah, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, Mike McCarthy, he's another one. But I mean, in season that could get fired. I mean, the only one I can really think of is maybe Staley. That I would think.
Let's
for
see
sure.
if the Chargers have any gaming coming up that, or like a
If they-
group of games where he could get fired.
If they would have lost today, for sure, he would have gotten fired. 100%.
So they got
I don't think so.
they
You
No.
got
don't
the
think so?
Lions. They got the Lions at home, then the Packers on the road, then the Ravens, then the Patriots. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 of those 4 games. If he loses 3 of those, he's gonna get
What's the
fired.
record right now?
They are.
4 and 4.
I gotta go
5 and 4?
backwards to find this now. They are 4-4.
Oh, just at 500. So maybe him too,
With-
heating up a little
Well,
bit.
I think they're maybe 5-4 now.
Oh, okay. With Herbert, right?
Right.
No, this was week 9, right? Or week 10.
This is week 9.
Okay, they've had a bye week, so they are 4-4.
Oh yeah, they just now got to 500. But we'll see, man. Only time will tell with these coaches.
Yeah. So game picks.
Yeah, let's go to the game
What do we
picks.
got Thursday?
The highly anticipated matchup between the Panthers
Panthers at the.
at
the Bears.
Chicago.
I'm
At
gonna go with Chicago.
Yeah, give me the home team.
It's gonna be Chicago plus 2.5.
I think the Panthers are coming in hot.
Think so?
Yeah, they.
Coming in hot.
They just lost.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about?
They lost to the Colts Sunday.
Oh, they did. I'm thinking about
At
the week
home.
before when they beat the Texans.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go. Probably with a better quarterback right now. That's Bryce Young. I mean,
I'll take Division 2.
Okay.
Bagent.
Bagent. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go to the Sunday night
Wait,
game.
who did Drew pick?
Bears.
Bears?
Bears.
Yeah.
Take the home team.
Let's go. Let's go the Raiders and the Jets.
I'm gonna go with the Raiders. They're hot, sorta.
I'm
They
gonna
got way more
They
momentum.
got that fire right now.
They've
gonna
got
go Raiders.
way more momentum.
Program Jinx Raiders.
Yeah, you're gonna pick them too.
Although the last 2 weeks our jinx have not been
Oh
jinx.
yeah, they've been.
If they can run the ball just enough, but I think it's just Zach Wilson. I don't know, man. Sometimes he's decent enough to where there's something there, and then there's other times.
Sometimes he
there's
looks like a first round draft pick, and then other
Oh,
times he
Jesus,
looks
he's
like
just
he should
so
have never
up
have been
and down.
drafted.
just so up and down. Bills Broncos.
Bills at home.
Are the Broncos? Are they coming off of a bye?
Yeah.
And then they beat the Chiefs the week before.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna say this is one of the few times a bye week hurts you.
And you think this is a get right game for the Bills? Like
Yes.
let's get our shit
Yeah,
together.
and
Let's-
I thought
think
that was going to be the case when they lost to the Patriots and then they almost lost to the Giants back-to-back weeks.
that's true.
but I feel like
And that game was in Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
Right.
for the Broncos to have any momentum going to this game, after that Chiefs game, they would have had to play a game. You just took
just to keep it rolling.
your biggest win in the last 3-4 years, and then you just sat for a whole week.
Right.
I feel like you just lost all that momentum.
Instead of keeping it rolling.
Yeah.
And
Because if they would have played the Raiders or someone else this week and won, then they're hot. They're rolling into this game in Buffalo.
Okay.
I think it was the opposite.
I think I'm gonna agree. I think I'm gonna go Bills on this one. I think Josh Allen pulls it off.
Pulls it off and wins like 21-17, barely.
Well, we don't give enough credit also to the Bengals defense. That's still a pretty solid defense.
I'll go Broncos.
You can go Broncos.
Oh, so
Just to be different.
Yeah.
So we just cursed the Raiders with the
Miami's
sweep.
on a bye week. I need the Bills to lose.
All right, before we end things, what are your guys' thoughts on Caleb Williams going into the crowd and crying at the end of the game?
Crying like a little girl.
Like it was like hysterical.
The way he paints his nails. He did like he
Dude,
was going.
he was you could see his
yeah. He did. I mean,
that's not something I want to see if I'm an NFL team looking to draft you.
That's
they fired.
Discussion was
They fired their defensive coordinator, which I still don't think that's going to be enough.
I will say this: that you're at home and you put up 42 points, you should win a game.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense with the firing of the defensive coordinator. But if I am
Washington also has
a GM, if I'm a scout and I'm looking at Caleb Williams, and you can't compose yourself enough to lose a game in college, there's a lot of red flags there for me.
Well, I don't think it's just the loss. I think it's just the culmination of everything, like the way they've been losing these games, right?
Yeah, because
So,
he
like,
does everything he can.
There's a huge target on USC's back brought by himself.
Oh yeah, you win the Heisman, everyone's looking.
But even that,
everybody's
but
looking
then,
at
I mean,
you.
when he won the Heisman last year, I don't remember him being this cocky. I don't remember him being this involved in the media.
Yeah.
After he wins the Heisman, then his shit doesn't stink, and he starts opening his mouth, and now everyone wants to beat the shit out of him.
That's the thing. He shouldn't have played this year. He honestly should have just sat.
He's one of those guys that we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons took the year off.
Michael Parsons took the year off before getting drafted. He should have just sat. I mean, I don't know how much his stock has gone down, because it has gone down, right?
It's gone down a lot.
Did Micah sit for a year?
Yeah.
He opted out. He opted out that COVID year.
He did not play his last year of college.
A lot of those guys opted out that COVID year.
He straight up said, "I've got enough film. I know who I am."
Caleb.
What was it?
Penn State.
It was Jamar Chase did it too,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Jamar Chase did it too.
right? Because everybody was like skeptical of them drafting him at 5 or 6.
Right.
Because they're like, he didn't even play last year.
Yeah.
But they were relying based off of the year that he had with
that
Burrow.
he had with Burrow together, and that was the whole reason they brought him in, because I remember they were talking about how how did you not go offensive line and you went Jamar Chase instead?
What happened to LSU after they won the national championship? They fell off.
They fell off.
I mean, it could have hurt his draft stock, realistically,
right?
which hurts his signing bonus.
Which is probably going to hurt Caleb, because Caleb came in as a clear number 1.
But
I don't think, dude. Is he the first quarterback now?
No. At the beginning,
At the beginning of the year,
that's what I'm saying.
Everybody was saying clear number
but
1.
now
he's clear number 1 overall. I think was what he was coming into the season
Right.
as.
Now
it's not. Then it's not number 1. Now it's, are you even the number 1 quarterback?
I mean, and this can be like a whole nother topic, because like when you open the can of worms with those NIL deals, like you open up into like, okay, I made all this money this past year. I balled out. I think I'm going to sit on that money. And then, okay, now I get drafted. Wherever I get drafted, I don't care if it's in the first or second round.
Well,
I got my money.
The thing, too, is he's barely a junior. So does he come out, or is he going to come back again for another year?
Don't come back. Don't come back. Go turn another franchise into whatever you're going to turn him into.
What if he doesn't want to go out because of the team that's going to draft him? Well, at this point, I don't think he has a choice.
That's what's like. Does he even have a choice? Does he even go first overall?
No, I don't
right?
think he
No,
does.
I don't think he does. I think he'll fall.
I think he's gonna fall to a team that doesn't need a starting quarterback.
He'll be like it'll be like what? Between 10 and 15 or something?
He'll still get drafted by somebody who needs a quarterback. I mean,
I don't think so.
You're not gonna. If you need a quarterback in the NFL, you're not gonna pass up that opportunity.
Okay,
Right?
but if you need a quarterback in the NFL, you're gonna be a top 6 pick, right? Like what teams need quarterbacks?
I mean, what the Bears need a quarterback?
No,
They're gonna be a top 6 pick.
Bears don't
Do the
need a
Cardinals
quarterback.
need a quarterback? They're gonna be a top 6 pick.
What do you do on Murray?
Yeah. See,
Well,
there's a whole other topic that we can get into.
The Titans could be.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is Will Levis going to be the guy?
I mean, the year that Mahomes got drafted, Alex Smith had just led him to the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you bring in Mahomes, make him sit for a year.
He's gonna end up falling to the Patriots.
I think he's going to get swooped up by the Raiders.
I think the Patriots are gonna pick him up before he gets to the Raiders.
Yeah, because Bill Belichick has
Bill
a
Belichick.
sneaky way of
Well,
trading up.
They're 2-7.
Does Bill want Caleb?
The Raiders have double the amount of wins that the Patriots have.
Yeah, you're right there.
Does Bill want Caleb though, or does he take this other kid from Washington or from
Penix?
Yeah,
Penix.
Or Nix?
because like
Is Penix?
because
Is
they're
Penix
what
the best quarterback in college?
I think he's leading the Heisman race.
yeah.
He beat Oregon and he just beat Caleb Williams. He beat Nix and Caleb Williams.
Because right now the Patriots are sitting at 2-7. It looks like they're going to have a top 2 pick. If and then the guys who have the number 1 overall pick right now are the Panthers.
Yeah.
They don't need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? The Giants, do you take a quarterback given how much money you have to pay Daniel Jones?
Well, you can get him on a rookie deal, so.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. But yeah, we can go on and on about that.
That's another.
I don't care enough about college football.
One on there.
8 dogs, San Jose.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
Buck Foisey.
Beat Foisey.
What?
I said beat Boise.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Buck Foisey.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys later.